Southeast Asia is important, right? It's a fast-growing market. But I think if, let's say, you want to expand to markets outside of Southeast Asia, once you reach a certain maturity, then actually I think Taiwan is actually a good testing bed.
The culture is a lot closer to Southeast Asia because they can access to like Facebook, Google, and that's part of their daily life, which is very similar to Southeast Asia.
I think after a company completes South Asia, they're going to ask the question, what's next? Where's next? China is a very different world with different rule and different law. So Taiwan is the next choice. And that's why we have the term of Greater South Asia.
We understand Southeast Asia as just the 6 major markets here in Southeast Asia. But I think one useful addition is really to consider Taiwan as well, to be part of this greater SEA grouping. At the start, what we did was we wanted to expand into all the different markets in Southeast Asia to get as much reach as possible. For us, fundamentally, we believe in localization, and that's how ShopBack has worked, right? So in the early days, it was actually the founders that had to go on the ground. So when we launched Malaysia, as well as Philippines and Indonesia, I think Henry and then myself, we went on the ground with the local teams, hiring, as well as getting a country manager to get the whole country started. The market that was very, very different for us was Indonesia. I think it was a huge endeavor for us, but I think we're very clear that in Southeast Asia, Indonesia is a big market and we definitely want a big presence there. First time we were going to the market with a very different language. We couldn't even read what our teams were coming up with. So we definitely had to trust the local teams in what they were coming up with. We had to do a lot of changes to the site to ensure that it fit into the Indonesia ecosystem. We first got to know about Taiwan, I think, when Jamie and Brandon from AppWorks came down to Singapore. I think they're sharing with, back then was IE Singapore. We were one of the startups that were there, and we heard about Taiwan, right? For us, it was very interesting. It's like an island with 23 million people, but with very strong e-commerce penetration, similar to the penetration like we see in mainland China, as well as a very good technical talent. At that point of time, Taiwan was not a key consideration for us. We're still in the midst of expanding in Southeast Asia. We had not launched Thailand yet. We had not launched Vietnam at that time. Those were actually our key markets to consider. So what we did was I went to explore more, went there, talked more to Brandon and find out more about the Taiwan market. And for us, we felt that was very exciting. And that was where we decided to say, hey, instead of directly launching Thailand or Vietnam next, let us try Taiwan. And since then, I think it has been a very successful case for us.
So this is our in-house battery, and it can be used on our e-bikes as well. So when we expand to each of these countries, usually our strategy is to partner with a local because our belief is that transportation is a very localized issue. We, in fact, in the very early days, try to penetrate the market ourselves, not without challenges, because we realized that it's actually very difficult to try to set up a local team and figure out the market, and on top of that, dealing with HR issues, because we ran into issues like our staff used the name of Telepod and tried to cheat money from other people, and when we found out, we immediately sacked the staff. After Malaysia, since Indonesia is our second market, we have learned to be a little bit smarter. So instead of trying to go into Indonesia doing ourselves, we started partnering with local operators, which I think has proven that is a lot more effective and efficient because it's a win-win. We let them focus on the go-to-market while we take care of all the other back-end stuff for them. Prior to Telepod, during my days in SMRT, we had a courtesy visit to Taiwan, and during that trip itself, I've also learned that Taiwan has been very reputable for manufacturing and electronic components reliability. No doubt they have very good R&D capability and manufacturing capability, plus the policy that they have in place for green initiatives and transport connectivity. They were one of the first few in the Greater South, in fact the first in Greater Southeast Asia to build cycling infrastructure, much more complete one in comparison to Singapore. it became very interesting for me to look at Taiwan. So when there's an opportunity to be a part of the AdWorks Accelerator program and also given like recommendation from their program alumni, I took that opportunity as a way for us to explore the market in Taiwan and also look for local partners, of course.
Okay.
Are you doing the selfie?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
do a selfie, right?
Okay, let's do a selfie.
Recently, there's a lot more activities from Taiwan. There were a lot of people came from Taiwan to business in Vietnam. There's more entrepreneur exchange between Taiwan and Southeast Asia. So that's how I started to know about Greater Southeast Asia. In fact, I think the one who really make the concept be known to a lot more people is actually Shopee, because they claim they are like the biggest e-commerce platform in Greater Southeast Asia. Taiwan is active crypto marketplace. Taiwan even have one of the congressmen that really supporting and advocating for Taiwan blockchain policies all around the world. So actually, I first met the congressman from Taiwan when he came to Vietnam, and he shared a lot of insight about Taiwan. I was like, okay, it's a very interesting. And after that, I just spent more time to learn and say, okay, this is a very interesting market because the people who have the knowledge and investing in or using blockchains, they're serious. And also there were banks that is taking initiative to really build the next banking system on blockchains. So that's why when we have an opportunities to enter Taiwan through the AdWorks Accelerator program, we say yes without any hesitations. So we spent the entire program about 6 months there. And right now we have a much deeper understanding, a lot more connections about the Taiwan market. Then I realized that why Shopee thinks that you should include Taiwan in the Southeast Asia and make it in Greater Southeast Asia, because Taiwan is a really good fit for entrepreneur came from Southeast Asia. The culture is very similar. In fact, when I went to Taiwan, I feel like I'm in Vietnam, and vice versa. There's a lot of Taiwanese entrepreneurs. When they came to Vietnam, they were like, it's Ho Chi Minh City, it's just like Taipei. And also the penetration of mobile or the readiness about online transaction or cryptocurrency trading is already there.
They're very used to spending in e-commerce. It's very different from what we're doing in Southeast Asia, whereby we're educating people to shop on e-commerce. So what we saw in Taiwan was that there were other competitors before us already. So when we went there, it was coming in as a second place player, and our goal was how do we fight to become the first place player.
First, in order to expand somewhere, you have to build a network of trusted people there. And that's really depend on your communication skill, your people skill. Participating in accelerator program is a great way to build a relationship.
For ShopBack ourselves, I joined the AdWorks Accelerator. Through that, I think we got a lot of understanding about Taiwan, as well as being able to reach out to a lot of different merchants through their connections, right? So I think that was very helpful for us. It really helps you better understand the market. So never go in thinking you understand the market, because you likely don't. And we're still expanding and getting more technical talent in Taiwan. In terms of their know-how and in terms of their technical knowledge, I think they are way ahead of Southeast Asia at this point of time. And I think that's where it's good to go there and learn from them.
Right now, we already start to have a talking to a different VCs from Taiwan, and we always consider using Taiwan as our hub if we want to expand to the Northeast Asia market. So using Taiwan as a HQ for expand to Hong Kong, to Japan and Korea.
Whether it's Southeast Asia, trying to go to Taiwan, Hong Kong as a part of Greater Southeast Asia, or they are trying to come in, I think we should collectively look at how we can exploit the economy together. Because of how we are somewhat similar yet so different.